will be 5th. Joan Mir, then, of course, he was the big benefactor in many respects of the Zarco penalty. The 2020 world champion moves up 1 row, not just 1 place, but 1 row. So Mir will be a danger man going from 6th spot. And, of course, let's hope that the remainder of their time in MotoGP is a successful one for the factory Suzuki team. There is Carmelo Espeleta, Dorna Sports CEO's response to the shock announcement, the withdrawal of Suzuki. After the recent news about Suzuki, we have received an incredible number of calls from teams and manufacturers. The championship is in great shape. Hear, hear. It certainly is in great shape, and we look forward to a future with or without Suzuki beyond 2022. What a sight that is as well. You hope you remember where you parked your bike earlier on here today. The bike parks are packed full, the campsites have been packed full, the grandstands are ran full. Will it be a famous Ducati victory here for the 3rd year in a row here in Le Mans? Well, let's hear the pre-race thoughts of their team manager Davide Tardozzi, who's with Simon.
Davide, your 2 factory riders' machines have looked awesome this weekend. I want to know your thoughts going into this race.
Yeah, we did good in qualify, but race as usual is another story. I think that Fabio is the first contender, but also Aleix will be very fast. So I think that our riders, including Bastianini and the other Ducati, will be very, very competitive. But I've seen Fabio the rider to beat.
Thank you. Good luck.
Thank you.
Yeah, all the noise coming out of the factory Ducati camp, although they're quietly confident, aren't they, in their own potential of winning this Chartres Grand Prix of France. Pecco Bagnaia yesterday in the press conference said, yeah, I'm on pole position, but Fabio Quartararo is still the favourite. There's huge support for the French riders here this weekend. Joan Zarco, Fabio Quartararo might be the world champion. He might have been taken to the hearts of these French fans, but Joan Zarco, he's certainly popular in this part of the world as well. Those campsites have been absolutely rocking. We know why, because we're about 10 kilometres away in downtown Le Mans, a 15-minute drive away, and we've heard them in the hotel. You've not been getting too much sleep if you've been on those campsites here this weekend. Let's pop back down to Simon on the grid again. What a start it's been to 2022 for the factory Aprilia team. Heady heights, they're 2nd in the World Championship. Aleix Espargaro just 7 points behind the World Series leader Fabio Quartararo. Can the dream roll on, Simon? He's with Paolo Banera.
Matt, I think it can. Paolo, looking at a bit of analysing last night, Aleix, if everything comes together, he looks good enough from my point of view to even finish 2nd. But more importantly, what do you think?
Yeah, for sure he did a good FP4. He was during all the session in the 1st position. But by the way, today there is a different condition on the weather, seems to be more hot. For sure he was in doubt since yesterday night on medium or soft tire on the rear. At the moment seems to be that everybody goes on the soft. We will see.
Best of luck.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks to Paolo Banera from Aprilia. Thanks to Simon. What a shot that is then. The Le Mans Cathedral in this historic town. There's the Sunday market, which is always on, isn't it? We saw that here last year. Who's going to be shopping for 25 points here this afternoon then in this French Grand Prix? We just saw there Marc Marquez playing down, as you'd expect, his podium aspirations here this afternoon in what could be a very difficult and complicated 27-lap race, not just for Marquez but the 3 other Honda riders on the grid here. It's an all Honda 4th row, or it was, of course, before Zarco's penalty. Marquez, Pol Espargaro and Taka Nakagami. Pol Espargaro's been again having a tough weekend. It's all that early season optimism, Lewis, has evaporated very, very quickly after his Qatar podium.
Yeah, he's not gone anywhere near that since. He pointed out that Honda have been struggling, particularly in the hotter temperatures this weekend. Pol Espargaro was fastest, of course, in free practice 1 earlier on in the weekend. Let's just quickly take you through the grid before we head to Simon down in pit lane. Pecco Bagnaia on pole from Miller and Aleix Espargaro. Fabio Quartararo heads row 2 ahead of Bastianini and Joan Mir. Alex Rins starts 7th just behind his teammate with Martin and Zarco on the Pramac Racing Ducatis in 8th and 9th. Then the 2 Repsol Hondas of Marc Marquez and Pol Espargaro. As we look through the rest of the grid then, let's get a word on the factory Suzuki team. A lot of work to do, but Joan Mir and Alex Rins will certainly be eyeing to go forward from 6th and 7th. Their team boss Livio Supo is talking to Simon.
He is Livio. Looking at things pace-wise last night, Alex looks super fast. Hasn't all gone smooth for poor old Joan this weekend, but we know how good he is in the race. What do you think they can do?
I think it depends on the start a lot. but I think they both have the pace to stay with the leading group. So we'll see. The start here is a little bit tricky because all these corners, but we will see. I think it will be a tough race because the temperature is higher than during the weekend, so it's a little bit of a gamble with the tires, but I hope they can have a real fun.
Good luck.
Thank you.
So dancers from the world famous Moulin Rouge get the pre-race ceremony underway here in Le Mans. What a sight that is. Boy, have we missed the fans and the Gallic flair before the race here in France. The Moulin Rouge, will it be the Rouge of Ducati Red that are tasting the race-winning Prosecco here in France? Johann Zarco, he's trying to block it all out, isn't he, as he gets ready for a big 27-lap home Grand Prix.
There might be a few more French cartwheels following in around an hour's time if Fabio Quartararo or Johann Zarco can make it to the end of 27 laps of Le Mans in front.
You've got some of these moves in the bar later on, haven't you, Lewis? It's the French can-can, of course, here. There's been so much off-track entertainment and on-track entertainment provided here this weekend by French Grand Prix promoter Claude Michu. They do a fantastic job here at the Bugatti circuit. Fans were still in the grandstands around 9-10 o'clock here last night. Great show. We love that. Absolutely brilliant. The Moulin Rouge dancers doing the can-can. Jack Miller on the front row. Can he work his way to another victory here in Le Mans? He's certainly looking more relaxed than Johann Zarco about the whole affair pre-race.
Yeah, Jack Miller's got a job to do, of course, in this Grand Prix. We did hear from Ducati earlier on this morning, making it very, very clear, Paolo Ciabatti saying that there are no team orders at Ducati. Why would there be at such an early stage in the season? They are free to race for victory, Pecco Bagnaia and Jack Miller. The only thing they have been told is no silly moves, and of course do not take each other off in this Grand Prix this afternoon. Of course, Pecco Bagnaia's hopes will be that he can get the whole shot and Jack Miller can slot in behind him. But Jack Miller, of course, a former winner here at Le Mans, will be aiming to repeat that in the next 27 laps.
This huge home crowd here in France showing their appreciation then for the world famous dancers from the Moulin Rouge in Paris. A great way to build up here for this French Grand Prix. I can't imagine what this place is going to be like in about an hour's time if Fabio Quartararo does win this French Grand Prix, or if Johann Zarco can win this French Grand Prix as well.
Well, all I know is we won't be leaving it for several hours.
If this place had a roof, it would be well and truly lifted off. We go all the way then back to the middle of the third row to find Pramac Racing's Jorge Martin. His great qualifying form has somewhat deserted him of late. 13th in Portimao, 10th in Jerez, 8th here this weekend. That followed 4 successive front row starts to kick off the new season. And as we expected, it's going to be a tough fight into the top 5 here today for Marc Marquez. If there's anybody that's up for it, then Marc Marquez certainly is. What are the pre-race thoughts of HRC team manager Alberto Puig? I'd like to say he's with Simon.
Yes, Alberto, with the original forecast, my money was on Marc for the win in the rain, but the rain didn't come. I think it's going to be a tough day. More importantly, what do you think?
It's going to be a tough day. I think the same. We don't have the best pace, of course, and there are some guys that are clearly faster, so we must survive. And it's true that I was thinking like you. I mean, today we had some chaos with rain or race stopped or whatever, you know. This guy is a specialist. But on dry conditions, I think the Yamaha from Fabio and some Ducatis are clearly faster, so we will try to survive. But finally, a race is a race, and you never know.
Alberto, thank you for your thoughts as always. Good luck.
Thanks.
Huge thanks to Alberto Puig down in pit lane. Yeah, Repsol Honda have a tough job ahead of them. It's the first time since Honda returned to the Premier Class in 1982 that we haven't had a Honda in the top 9 on the grid here at Le Mans. And Marc Marquez, of course, is still chasing that 100th MotoGP podium. Fabio Quartararo, you can see on screen there at the moment. Our information is that he's going for the medium front and the soft rear tyre. He'll be certainly keen to see an empty tarmac as soon as possible.
I'm looking forward to this, the now traditional pre-race ceremony. Let's hear a fantastic rendition of La Marseillaise ring out over this famous Bugatti circuit here in Le Mans. That's got the goosebumps going. That's got the hairs on the back of your neck standing up here. What an amazing rendition of the famous Le Marseillaise. Will that be ringing out again over this famous Bugatti circuit here in Le Mans in just under an hour's time as Fabio Quartararo goes for home glory here in his home Grand Prix? That was incredible. Nearly 100,000 fans, maybe even more than 100,000 fans have flocked and packed into this Bugatti circuit. That was a special, special moment, Lewis, as the countdown continues to the Chartres Grand Prix of France.
Yeah, I had to remove my headphones to listen to that. Of course, we heard the wonderful rendition, as you say, but just to take the headphones off and listen to the 100,000 French voices belting out Le Marseillaise was quite extraordinary. Fabio Quartararo looked very, very cool sat there on the grid, but you can imagine the hairs on the back of his neck will have been standing on end. He goes from the front of row 2. Taka Nakagami goes from the back of row 4. As mentioned, it's been a difficult weekend for Honda. As we so often say with Taka Nakagami, he was very, very quick in warm-up this morning. He finished inside the top 3. Can he go forward from 12th on the grid? There are a number of fast riders just behind him who will be looking to get past him in the very early stages. But will that French flag be flying? Will those French voices be singing for Fabio Quartararo? That is the big question going to the 27 laps of this Grand Prix. Can Quartararo overcome Aleix Espargaro and the Ducatis up ahead of him? We're about to find out.
I just wanted to pause for a very brief moment because you might have just heard there back at home, wherever you're watching in the world, these very, very special scenes. The circuit announcer whipping this crowd up into a crescendo, into a frenzy. You could hear them there chanting, Fabio, Fabio, Fabio. I've never seen anything quite like this in the French Grand Prix here in Le Mans. Amazing scenes, emotional scenes, as we all get set for this 27-lap Grand Prix of France. Fair to say there's some pressure on the shoulders of Fabio Quartararo and Johann Zarco in this 7th round, but scenes here and the chants from the crowd that Fabio Quartararo will never forget. What more motivation does he need to win in front of his home crowd than to hear tens of thousands of fans that are just gathered meters away from him on 4th place on the grid, cheering and chanting his name. He is a new French motorsport star. He's a new French sporting star, isn't he, Fabio Quartararo?
Well, it's going to have to take a very cool head to deny him in this cauldron of an atmosphere. It's very much an away fixture for Pecco Bagnaia. He's got a home Grand Prix coming up in 2 weeks' time where the shoe will be on the other foot when the Italians will be cheering him on at Mugello. But for now, we have nearly 100,000 Frenchmen who want nothing more than Fabio Quartararo to take victory for them in the next 45 minutes or so. Jack Miller will be looking for victory himself, although of course from a Ducati point of view both he and Pecco Bagnaia have a big job to do to keep this man behind them. Do not rule out Aleix Espargaro, who starts from the outside of row 1. This is not a good circuit historically for Aleix or for Aprilia, but they've been turning critics into believers throughout this 2022 season.
Can Jack Miller make it back-to-back wins here in Le Mans? Will it be Viva Miller or Vive la France? Or will Pecco Bagnaia have a big part to play? Well, you know he will have a big part to play in the outcome of this French Grand Prix. Then the grid is starting to clear. Well, within 5 minutes of the start of this much anticipated, much typed French Grand Prix.
Some late Michelin tyre news to bring you. Several riders have switched to the medium front. Those are Maverick Vinales, Jorge Martin, Marc Marquez and Pol Espargaro. The 2 LCR Hondas as well of Alex Marquez and Taka Nakagami. Joan Mir and crucially the pole man Pecco Bagnaia has switched to the medium front tyre. Brad Binder, Miguel Oliveira and Remy Gardner have switched to the harder front.
Fabio Quartararo then now getting himself in the zone for what is one of the biggest races of his Grand Prix career. He's never had support quite like this. He comes to France as the reigning world champion. That's never happened in the Premier class. A French rider coming to his home Grand Prix as the reigning world champion. Alex Rins there, his face full of focus and concentration. He was very strong in FP4 yesterday. He may well be a big contender as well for the victory here in round 7. So Fabio Quartararo is then the Frenchman that starts from 4th place on the grid. We move to the front row here for the Grand Prix of France. Can it be 3 successive podiums from 3 successive front row starts for Aprilia's Aleix Espargaro as they go in search of a first top 6 in Le Mans? Can Thriller Miller thrill again here in France and make it back-to-back wins in the French Grand Prix?
Dan kondisi tire pressure ini mereka start tuh semua sama loh.
Sama.
Tapi kalau diukur di saat balapan,
iya, pasti berubah.
Karena kondisinya beda-beda. Ada rider yang kayak kemarin misal Alex Espargaro harus fight sama Miller, sama Marquez.
Betul.
Ya kan pasti ngedrop ya.
Betul.
Ya dong.
Iya.
Jadi pasti tekanannya akan naik turun lah gitu. Jadi nggak bisa dipastikan. Nah, Joni prediksinya 1, 2, 3 hari ini?
Saya coba dengan Francisco Bagnaia. Kemudian mungkin Alex Espargaro dan mungkin Quartararo ketiga.
Quartararo ketiga.
Iya.
Aku tetap pokoknya Quartararo karena dia pasti akan membuktikan bahwa dia bisa jadi juara di negerinya sendiri. Kedua, aku Peko Bagnaia. Ketiga, Jack Miller deh kalau gitu ya. Kita akan langsung saja bergabung dengan sirkuit Lembang untuk menyaksikan live race MotoGP.
Of the weekend so far, track temperature nearly 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Thankfully, all those rain forecasts for around race time here, nearly 2 p.m. local time in France, they have gone away. The brilliant shoulder cam here from Aleix Espargaro. This is the World Championship standings. Fabio Quartararo leads by 7 points over the Spanish rider. Some late change in terms of tyre choice. Let's hear the pre-race thoughts then of Michelin Motorsport manager Piero Taramassa with Simon.
Piero going into this one with the